It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast. August 17th, 2021. This is the Triple S League with you tonight. And this is your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games and the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and on Twitch, because we finally got Restream working again. So we are actually on Twitch tonight. If anyone's listening on Twitch, I don't usually have a ton of people watching or listening over there, but the option is available if that's where you want to be. Also, this gets archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. So, like on Podbean, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. We're on Spotify. So yeah, if you're listening after the fact, want to listen on the go, you can find the podcast there. My name is Ash. I'm here as always with Moontag, who's over there.
Hi.
It's weird.
I convinced Luna to join me.
I have to point in completely the wrong direction that I'm expecting to actually gesture to where you are on the screen. But yeah, anyway, we got Saib as well. So as always, and it hasn't been an incredibly heavy news in week. It hasn't been a heavy news in week. It hasn't been a heavy week in news. It's been a heavy week in news in terms of world news, and it's been weighing on me a lot. Hello, Terror. How's it going?
Hi, Terror.
We're not going to talk about that. No commentary, please, Saib, because we'll just spend 20 minutes on it, and we don't want to do that. But yeah.
I will just say I am very, very, very angry.
Yes, I've been pretty angry too. But yeah. Anyway, and I like to mention that because I want you all who listen to this to feel like we are in a community. We're experiencing the same stuff that's going on in the world all at the same time. But we also want you to be able to come here and kind of escape from all that. When there are times when we have to cover the heavy stuff, the heavy things in news, especially when it relates to gaming. But tonight's not one of those nights. But yeah, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with certain groups of people in the world right now. All right. So, incidentally, what are we talking about tonight? Yeah, so I've been a little fried from all of that today. Plus, Canada's ramping up for an election. I just found out, so things are interesting. So we're gonna talk about Humankind. Humankind is out. It is out today. So anyone who's been looking forward to that game is you can check it out now. Now Saib's been playing it, and you played it in the beta.
I'm playing it literally right now. So yeah, I played it in the beta. There was multiple betas, and there were a lot of issues. I don't know if all those issues have been fixed. The game is not as feature rich as Civilization 6 or some of the other civilizations. Like Civilization 5, I think is probably still the best one. Civilization 4 is still also really, really good. There's a lot of really good things in those games that you're not going to get in this game right now because they've shipped this. I wouldn't say it's bare bones. It's basic as you would. It's about as basic as the previous Civ games on their vanilla release. So their game came out, and then that was it. They had. They left a lot in the game to be brought out with later expansions. Religion, more of the heavy spy politics stuff, that kind of stuff. It was very normal for them to leave some of those things out, and so you have a lot of not those same systems, but you do have a lot of things that are left out there. So the one of the things that I noticed right away is that there wasn't nearly as many options right now for world creation as there are with, of course, most of the other Civ games. However, they did have several unique things, such as setting how close continents would be to each other if you were playing on a coastal map.
All right.
That's really cool, and something that is still not in most of the Civ games. I mean, it is still not in most of the Civ games, and it drives me literally mental because I'm like, I want to play, I want to have like this big, gigantic, like, clash of the civilizations, um, when they're on different continents. And Moon has watched me as I've played, and I get very aggravated in that, like, there's one of two things that happens. Either all of the continents are basically mushed right next to each other and have like tail leading like land masses into each other, and it just turns into a gigantic Pangea where everybody just fights to death almost immediately. Or what happens, and this is the most common thing, especially even when playing on Deity, I will start on my little island, like on my continent. It's pretty decently sized. I like quickly take it over, and I'm like, building wonders left and right, and I'm like, haha! Now I shall travel across the sea and find my true, like, challenge, my nemesis over the seas. And I get to the seas and I get to their islands, and it's like they're like they got like little torches and mud huts, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess this has turned into another of those things where I colonize everything.
This
and you know how everybody loves that.
I'm getting flashbacks to Age of Empires 2 with that. I used to set up these giant, like, 8-player maps, which is the most you could have. But they were inevitably, like, it would get too crowded. Like, I'd like lots of oceans and lots of forests and lots of this. So, there was a lot of water, and so inevitably one of the AI players would just be like, they just wouldn't figure out what to do. They'd build, like, 3 houses, and then their villagers would just stand around. And so, like, 2 hours into the game, I'd come along with my army. And
like, you got this giant army riding over the cliff, and you're like, glory men, we shall fight against the darkness. And you come up over the ridge, and there's, like, 3 farmers, like, hello.
Yeah, they're like, hi,
like,
please don't kill us.
Right. All right, then. I guess, brainwash them, and let's keep going. So, and I hate that. So I don't know if the AI is good in this game or not yet. That is, of course, one of those things that it's very important that we get that going good, and that be a good thing to have. And right now, I cannot tell you whether or not this game is good in that way. I can tell you that the initial experience and the initial, like, moving around and exploring stuff is tons of fun. Like, really.
Yeah. Okay. But the combat, like, as far as the interaction with the other AI, you're still kind of waiting to see how good it is. What was it limited in the like in the beta? How many people could you fight against, or how many AI players could there be?
Well, there's still a minimum of like 10 AI players per map against you, or including you, I should say.
That's still quite a lot.
Depending on whether you're not an AI. Well, I mean, I play like 35 plus civs on other games, so
yeah, fair. Fair.
I like things to be like. I enjoy it when things are like fairly crowded, and I'm like, butting heads with a whole bunch of enemies all at once, because it keeps you on your toes, right? And I would hope, and I hope that it helps to it helps to buff one of the other AIs that manages to take over, because I want this big I want this big gigantic clash of armies in the late game. And I always play on very slow games because I want to enjoy, like, really, like, perfecting my cities and stuff like that. I can't stand it where it's like, you blitz through a game and it's like you haven't even built a granary or like a single monument or anything like that. You're too busy pumping out units. It's like, I get that there's some, like, people who really enjoy that system, but for me, I really, really enjoy, like, the pruning my cities to be absolutely perfect, building them typically around my first game. I am so happy. My first game, my neighboring, one of my neighboring provinces, are like the way they separate the territories, which you click together eventually, like, you make them just like kind of like a super province, has started out. I've started out very, very close to the Great Barrier Reef, and I'm so happy. It's just like, yes, I love it. This is exactly what I wanted. This is gorgeous, lovely, beautiful. Can't wait to lock this down. So yeah, very exciting and just really gorgeous for the most part. It's a little bit.
It looks like it. I'm just looking. I've got some screenshots up on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit more realistic than Civ is. Like Civ is a little bit more cartoony.
Okay. Yeah.
So. So yeah, I mean,
your yawn algorithm's working overtime there.
I know. It's been we have had it's been nonstop, and these stupid fires and smoke and weather and everything has been brutal.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah. So lots of opportunity to actually build a civilization and then fight and destroy everything. Now that's cool. So, Moon, you've been a casual observer, I'm guessing. Or have you played a game or two yourself?
No, she hasn't. I literally just installed it like
right, but when Sai was in the beta. So I don't know. Like, what do you think? Is this
Well, it
kind of
seems
game,
right up
or?
my alley with the base management kind of games, and I like the environment and characters. I'm excited to see what kind of interactions there can be.
You guys could just trade off.
Did you say this is multiplayer?
Oh yeah, it's. Well,
Oh, yeah,
it's got to
yeah,
be
lots
multiplayer.
of
Yeah. So
multiplayer.
you could you could
Okay.
be a civilization in one of his games if you wanted. You could be a different civ. I don't know if can you both control the same one, or is that
I think we probably have our own. Hey.
Yeah, no, you have your own.
Like,
you
I'm
be
trying to
on
remember.
You can usually set up teams.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you could be
yeah,
allies?
that's pretty normal.
You could be allies by marriage. Trade your daughters to each other so that you don't attack each other. You know all those really
The normal,
those
the
really
normal
weird
stuff.
things that ancient people used to do. Yeah, so I played. I can't remember what it might have been. Age of Empires, but I played a game multiplayer at one point. One of these types of games where I was playing with somebody co-op, and we were both controlling and managing the same team, like the same army of people.
In
But
RTSs, that's far more common.
yeah. Anyway, I mean, so you can take it, and this just, I mean, this looks like SimCity here. This one, this screenshot I've got. So yeah, so you can go from ancient times all the way to modern day, and yeah, there's so much in this game. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to pick it up myself just because of, I mean, my schedule's already packed. We got Deathloop coming in September, and I am, neck deep in Baldur's Gate 3 right now. More of that coming this week, by the way, on the main channel. Terror K says, I'm getting the physical version, which isn't out until next week. Sad face. Ah, well, hopefully it's worth the wait. Hopefully. Also, yeah, good luck with that new lockdown in your country. That's insane. I read about that somewhere because there was one case or something. Your country's going into lockdown. Yeesh. No comment. No comment. I have opinions, but no comment. Yeah, very cool. But speaking of Civ, which we mentioned earlier, because this is kind of a similar genre of game to Civ, is Civilization 7 underway at Firaxis Games? Well, it looks like it might be, just because they have been they're posting a job ad seeking a narrative lead for work on an upcoming AAA strategy title. And they're looking for someone who has a knowledge of and passion for world history. So it doesn't...
I wonder what they're working on. I mean, it's so strange. I don't know. I mean, we could be seeing anything. He says, very, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's Civ.
But they're they're probably they're in the early stages now. So
oh yeah,
it'll be a
super early
ways
stages, not announced. And I kind of figured this out. I'm not bragging here. This is just, I mean, it's just common logic. I can't remember when they wrapped up. I think it was earlier this year that they wrapped up on on an onslaught of essentially a season pass for the existing game, and then they went dark. And when that happens, when you have a game come out, and then years and years and years of really good, solid expansions, and then they have a slew of updates and stuff like that. And by the way, if you are any kind of a Civ fan, you need to try at least once the battle royale system in Civilization 6. It is actually a boatload of fun. It is very different and very hilarious. Like, seriously, it's not. I don't think it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's just a very interesting take on 4X strategy games.
Interesting. So
yeah, the fact that it's a battle royale on planet Earth is the thing is like planet Earth is dying. There's a whole bunch of like end game like factions, everything from preppers to like cultists to like other stuff, and they're fighting zombies and it's just craziness.
Wow.
But it's interesting. It's fun, and it's I wouldn't say it's not like a top tier battle royale experience, but it is definitely a unique experience because I've never played anything like that before.
It's a fun add-on mode, sounds like.
Yeah, you're fighting for the last rocket off the Earth, basically. You're gathering up, so you're like we're checking out, but it's like, and everybody's finding nukes and sending nukes at each other like crazy. It's a boatload of fun. And
but what if you nuke?
Again,
what happens if you nuke the rocket?
It's literally like a last person standing kind of scenario. So there's no physical rocket. There's just like be the last person standing, and you're the one who gets lifted off the planet. Because they won't come down amongst fighting because they want to avoid that very thing.
Oh, the rocket comes down. Okay.
Yes, the rocket comes down.
I was picturing some rocket, someone standing somewhere. Yeah,
but they're like, well, hey, we don't want no fighting. We don't want the rocket to get nuked while it's picking people up. So therefore, last man standing wins essentially. So yeah, that's the concept. I like I said, I really enjoy it. I think it's great. As far as the concept, but that game is now revving down a little bit. It's still a good game. Still got tons of stuff to do with it. It's a shame about the publisher, but overall, they do a good product, and they've been fairly clear and honest with the fans. So with what we're seeing now is they're clearly ramping up to Civ 7, which are probably going to take 2 years. At the very least, 2 years from now. I think probably we're going to be closer to seeing it 3 years, especially if they're bringing in a ton of new changes and new mechanics to the game. One thing you desperately need is to introduce custom player factions and countries. I love playing against or with various countries and nations and stuff like that, but I'm a little tired of it. Just a little tired of it.
Well, and you can then learn, I'm fighting against Finland. Just throwing something out there. I know what their strengths are. I know exactly what their tech is, and I can combat it. If it's not like you're coming up against some mysterious faction, some mysterious civilization that you've never encountered, and you don't know what they've got up their sleeves, or what their temperament will be, So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that should work if you have a civilization creator, like a character creator, that you can maybe design certain physical things like your colors and your flag or whatever, but also just have a set of points you can put into different things. So yeah, I agree that seems like something that they should do. Agreed.
Yeah, so,
Agreed.
The greatest thing that I've so far, I'm really happy. I can't wait for mods in Humankind. But I loaded up my game. I got to custom create my avatar. Which I would give it a 70% on that. I'm not like IGN that doesn't give minus or less than 50. In a full 10 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for their character creator. It's good. It could be a lot better, but it's good. And then I also got to create my own people, which you do through the game, but I got to choose my icon as a dragon. So I'm like, sold, done. I'm now the dragon people. And like I said, I can't wait for custom stuff to come in because, I'm going to get, you can probably do quite a bit with stuff. And it really opens the door for what the community can create as far as like additional content and creativity. For the longest time, I have been wanting to play Civilization with elves and dwarves and dragons and that kind of stuff, and have like the big buildings and the castles and then maneuver that into like a space race and basically playing like 40K essentially. But they don't give you those options at all. They have never given you those options. They've always been stringent on, this is a historical game. You have to play with historical things. It's like I want a little bit of mythology to come in.
Right?
Why can't I be the crab people?
At the very least, and at the most, I want full on like fantasy. Like I would be playing a lot more, and I would be having a lot more fun if I could do more of that stuff. But I can't do any of that stuff because they don't let me do any of that stuff, and they never have. And they're always like, "Oh no, we don't want you to play the game like this." And it's like, please stop telling me how to play the game. I want to play the game.
In chat says that the Steam Workshop has buckets of custom civs for Civ.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah,
because they can't create. They can create some models and stuff like that, but like you get to create a full-on 3D character avatar in this game and customize it. And with just a few mods, I'm sure with that kind of base system in the game, I'm pretty sure we'll get elves and inhuman skin tones and all kinds of stuff shortly. I am very positive. This is built in Unity. The mods hopefully are going to start pumping for this, and I cannot wait. Yes, exactly, Tereke. Lord of the Rings Civ. That's what I've been wanting to play for so long, like that and dozens of other mythologies, right?
A Middle Earth.
Like, I want that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say a Middle Earth Civ would probably. I think like you're not the only one. I think there would definitely be a market for that. There would definitely be an audience for that game. So
yes, absolutely.
Maybe you should design it, and we'll pitch it to a publisher, and then be like, "Can you hire all the people that we need?" Yeah. Anyway, we started out the Triple S League as a game development outfit. It wasn't called the Triple S League, but it was Saib and I working together on projects. And game development's a lot harder than it looks, or than you might think it was. Or just it requires a lot of time to make a good game. And but then we got into videos, and well, here we are. So anyway, it would still be great to make games someday. We're just not there yet. All right, so yes, you are listening to the Triple S, or the Augmented Reality Podcast, presented by the Triple S League. It's kind of a quieter night, but that's okay. I mean, midsummer, I imagine a lot of folks are vacationing and stuff in preparation for September. I can't believe it's August 17th. Like, in my brain, it's still the first week of August. Like, where the hell did August go? Like, it was July, and then, like, July seemed to last forever, and then August has just been like, boom, what? There was a month. Anyway, if you do happen to check out this podcast, and you haven't joined our Discord server, please join up. You can find the link in the description below, and you can find great people to talk to and game with, and talk about all kinds of things, from gaming all the way to cute animals and food and all kinds of stuff, and we keep it clear of controversy and political stuff and all that nastiness, and just important things, important parts of life, but we're about escapism. So that's we invite you there to if you're looking for a place like that where you can escape and not think about the real world for a little while and find some new friends. All right. Also want to epically thank all of our Patreon supporters, channel members back on the main channel. By the way, check out our main channel, the Triple S League. That is not this channel. This is Triple S Podcasts, which is basically exclusively devoted to this podcast. The main channel, the Triple S League, we have all kinds of other content. We got game guides, we've got gameplay, we've got comedy stuff, we've got animations, and we're working on some fun projects here. I literally, on the floor over there's a laptop sitting on my basement floor to keep cool because it's been running at 100% processing power, all 4 cores, for about 14 hours now. I'm running an AI program that learns to play Nintendo games. And I didn't write the program. Just so, yeah, but it's a very cool thing. So, trying to decide what I can do with this in terms of videos. There's going to be more Baldur's Gate 3 coming this week. I'm going to be continuing the Evil Dumb playthrough, The Adventures of Sparkles the Elf, named by the community.
Beautiful name. Beautiful.
You should. I don't know if you saw it, Moon, but he looks hilarious, and he's got like pink hair, pinkish skin. I think he's got pink eyes, and he looks derpy as hell, but also kind of like classy, but also derpy. His character is like his background is actually being a noble. He's the descendant of elfish nobility. He's a high elf.
No wonder he's got all that custom coloring.
Yeah.
All that custom pink.
It's all the inbreeding. But anyway, yeah. So I'm playing him evil and dumb. So his intelligence and wisdom were turned down to the minimum that I could make them. Anyway, it's going hilarious in live streams, with the people watching were helping me with some of the decisions. They helped me with the creation, and they came up with his name, but then also helping me with some of the decisions. So we'll be continuing that. That stream this week. I just don't know exactly what day or time, but I'll announce that on the Discord server. All right, so a couple other things to talk about. So we're going to move from talking about games that we're currently enjoying to games that had a lot of promise, but then really bombed after launch. One of those being Outriders.
Yeah. Heck.
Yeah.
So
disappointing.
Yeah, like what the hell happened? It had so much promise, and then just
So much potential.
a lot of people in our community were loving it, and then they just destroyed it.
Well, everybody was loving it as they were progressing through it, but once you got to the cap level, like the end game, you just hit this wall. And the devs did something very, very stupid. They created the ultimate wall for what they had planned for release and had left it there. So in this case, it was like, I think it's plus 10s or 15s. I think it's 15s. And they just said, that's the cap. And they didn't anticipate that people would beat that for a long time. But then, certain people managed to get to 15, a day after they hit cap. And they said, oh, whoa now. And then they slowed down the progress. They made everything harder. They made it so that your loot was even worse and you weren't getting as many drops. And that started to make people angry because that's not what people want. People want to feel progression. They want to spend a few hours in a game and feel like they've made some improvements. And especially when you have a game that's based entirely around that system, they get really upset when you just go, no man, we don't care about this. We don't care about this, and you don't care about this, and then they started arguing with the players, and they just blew so much of their time doing this. What if you're making a game like this? First of all, if you're like, okay, our cap level is going to be 15. I've done the math. We've got everything ready. 15's the max. So you go, okay, great. So 5 is going to be our release number then. But what? No, we got 15. No. 5 is going to be our release number, and we're crank up the difficulty a little bit more. Probably, I don't know, double it, and then see what happens when people hit that. If they hit it and it's like hitting a brick wall that 90% of people can't get past, then we come in and we nerf it really quickly. And then you let them hit the wall again and see how many. Okay, now like 70-80% are getting over the wall with ease. All right, now we introduce in the next patch, we introduce the next 2 levels. And then the next 2 levels. And then the next 2 levels. And over the course of an entire summer, you have the content essentially pre-planned. Now, this isn't cutting off content. These are repeatable levels that you just slowly up the difficulty and the rewards on that you've calculated into the game. I'm not saying create story content and then sit on it and sell it as DLC. That is not what I'm saying, and that's a terrible mechanic or a terrible way of making games. But this slow ramping of content is important so that people can feel like they're coming back to the game every couple weeks with the buddies and they're having fun and they're doing new things. Right? That's what the game is about. And they fought against this for so long until their player engagement numbers went from close to 3 million down to like some stupid low number right now. It's like
between
less than 50,000.
Between April 1st and May 1st, the game had 3.5 million unique players. But yeah, like you said, it really dropped off after that.
Yeah. And it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like, why did you do this? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
You could have had just so much of a better system, and it would have been so much much greater. And you could have prepared and you could have planned. It's like the stupid Star Trek thing all over again. Star Trek thing. Hey guys, whatever you do when you're making this game, don't make it so that you're like when you play through the game that you have coming out at launch, but you get to the end of the game in like 20 hours and you're an admiral. Don't do that. You want to leave some room for growth.
No,
you want to leave some. So the maximum rank you should get at vanilla is like lieutenant commander. Okay, you keep it there, and then we upgrade it slowly. You slowly increase so that people could get excited about hitting the rank of captain, and then they're going to get really excited about hitting the rank of admiral. Guess what they did? Admiral. What did they do for the next 10 years? Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
Super Admiral?
You hit Upper Admiral, Super Upper Admiral, Super Upper Admiral with a Super Admiral chain, and then Super Elite Admiral with Elite Super Admiral Superpower Admirals. And it's like, you stupid, like, why can't you think this through? But it's like you're going to hit a wall. Prepare to hit the wall. And then prepare to like have progression after that. Make a plan for what your players are going to do after they played the initial burst of the game.
Exactly. Got to leave some room for expansion. Got to leave some room to grow with that. That's, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, yeah, literally above Admiral, the only rank I can think of is Grand Poobah of Space. But you just can't get bigger than that. There's no rank higher than that, so yeah, go figure it out.
Pacing, guys.
We got Jagos on Rear Admiral, I believe. Jagos on Twitch saying, sigh, they needed to go to Square. Then Square screwed them. They made a deal that made them no money. How many other ways could people can fly shoot themselves in the foot? That's the developer. And yes, apparently the developer doesn't think that the game has broken even yet in terms of the as far as the game hasn't earned any profits yet, which is that's insane if you've had 3.5 million players. Now, not all of those people bought a copy of the game, because it was on Game Pass day one. It was on Xbox Game Pass. So Game Pass subscribers can play the game for free. And I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know how Xbox pays. Like, how do you earn money if your game is on Game Pass? That I'm not entirely familiar with. Do you know how that works?
You make a deal with Microsoft, basically.
Do they pay you like per?
They pay you, yeah. They
per
pay
person
you,
that
like they get money. They get money from doing stuff like selling the game passes. They then trade those game pass money with you. Like that's how it works.
Right.
So, like, if you're like, I haven't made any money on this, it's like, well, you made a bad deal then.
Yeah.
It hurts to say it, but maybe you were a little stupid. I mean, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying.
Well, I guarantee though, like that would have been at the Square level. Like that was the publisher that made that deal. Like that wasn't People Can Fly.
Yeah, but I mean, but again, it's like if you're not doing the thing, then you're not doing the thing, and if you're not doing the thing, then we got a little bit of a problem here.
Yeah. Now,
just saying.
Just saying.
Now, back in May, Square was talking about Outriders being a major franchise. Following a successful launch month in terms of player numbers. But I don't know. Do you think people will come back for Outriders 2?
Well, I mean, like, it's all about what they do from here on out. But it was the consternation and the fact that it took them 6 to 7 months to basically admit that they screwed up and that they were willing to, like, oh, you guys actually want to get loot when you do a run. You don't want to spend your entire evening playing a game and then feeling like you've just had your time wasted over and over and over and over again.
That's the
worst. You mean you don't want that? Oh, and they spent so many months going, nope. What do you mean? What do you mean? Some of the classes need buffs. I mean, there's some classes that just can't do content. You got to live with that. That's why you got to team up with your friends. It's like, who the hell do you think you are? You're destroying my fun. You're destroying my time. You're making me and my friends feel like we wasted our time with these characters.
Right.
What is wrong with you? And their answer to that is, hey, we know what we're doing. No, you don't. And so that was the biggest problem and it's the biggest problem that you see now, because again, they're not willing to admit that they made a mistake until just recently. And by that time, they've already lost so many people that it's kind of like, well, I mean, what's the point? Like, you lost so many people.
True.
So many people were like, we're done with you. We're moving on.
But they'll they'll go to their investor meetings though, and they'll be like, look at how many players we had for a month.
Keyword.
3.5 million play. That's not bad for a, what would you call this? It didn't seem like it was a AAA development. But yeah, like 3.5 million players in, at launch. That's not bad. That's not any kind of small potatoes.
No, it's nothing to sneeze at.
But
directly.
again, yeah, no retention though. No retention, so nobody's coming back for the, so how do you keep people coming back? And I don't know what their plan was for actually making money on it, but like continued money. But yeah, it's been too long since I played that game. Was there a cash shop or something?
They had an expansion stuff of like DLC they sold.
They were going to sell expansion. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't have a costume system, so that's kind of like a lot of wasted potential there. It's like you could have had a costume system and then just sold like straight costumes for stuff. That probably would have been a smart idea. Again, probably would have been, but again, Like, there's a lot of things that they did wrong. They did have an engaging, fun game to begin with, but there was just a lot of things that they just did really wrong.
It was pretty good, and I'm not looter shooter is not typically my genre, but I enjoyed playing it what I played, and but yeah, it's just it's unfortunate because it seemed at the beginning it seemed like the studio was really doing something right. And again, who knows how much of this was the studio and how much was the publisher. But it's really unfortunate that it really hit a wall. Speaking of games that were a disappointment after launch, so Cyberpunk 2077 has come out swinging its micro DLC. And I say they like made a whole deal of it with a live stream and everything, but there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Like a whole bunch of patches apparently. A whole bunch of like very quest specific patches, the same kind of stuff that, they've been releasing in updates since the beginning. But this was the first of their small DLCs. And what does it include? Well, 2 new jackets for V.
Wow. And jackets on a character I can't even see.
Two jackets, Moon. Two. An alternative appearance for Johnny Silverhand, who's a character that you see way too much. And
right. I think I would mind him less if he was like, you could gender bend him.
Oh, if you could make Janine Silverhand?
Yeah. Exactly.
What the hell is my mouse doing? Together. Sorry. I have these buttons on my mouse that change the tracking. And there's two buttons on my mouse that can change the tracking. One changes it it's like having a 15-speed bike. You can change the big gear, you can also change the rear gear. Anyway, never mind. I fixed it. But I was moving my mouse to go over to the other window, and it's just like crawling along the screen in like a pixel a second. I was like, what is going on here?
Slow-mo.
So, Jagos on Twitch says, the amount of disappointment is monumental for me. I don't even want to play The Witcher at this point. It has been very disappointing. A lot of the, and watching so many devs leave the company. You have to wonder if what's even happening there anymore. I mean, it's not that I want them to fail or that I don't want them to, but it was a letdown. It was a massive letdown. Lots of people were let down, and it's not that I didn't have fun playing Cyberpunk 2077, but I had fun. Admittedly, I liked it more than some games I've played.
Yeah.
But because at least
I felt like there was just so much missing.
There was. This is the problem, right?
We knew how much, it's been revealed several times on how much had been missing, how much they had overshot their capability, and then the changing of it to an action game instead of an actual RPG.
There was a big mistake made there. Yeah, it was an
enormous waste of everything you could possibly have imagined.
But the problem I think is that, and they're keeping it kind of low key. Like they've promised more changes, more additions in the future, but they're not saying what they are right now, because apparently they've learned their lesson on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, the biggest thing that they can do right now is shut up.
The thing is, if this had been a game that they were 8 months before launch, they started marketing and were like, my dudes, we got a new game. It's set in the Cyberpunk universe. And, it was the overhyping for years on end that I think really killed this. Because, I mean, I think if your expectations were at 0 because you didn't know the game was coming, then suddenly CD Projekt Red comes out and is like, hey, we're releasing this game. here it is. It's this action-y game set in cyberpunk universe. And, you know, it's got this story around Johnny Silverhand. You know? Then it would have matched... Then your expectations are at that level, and it would have matched those expectations. And you probably would have seen the world and been like, oh, there's some cool tech in here, because the world was... I mean, technically, the design of, you know, the city and how everything worked... it was pretty impressive. Like, there were some impressive things about the game, but yeah. People were expecting a deep RPG, and it was not a deep RPG. Therefore, nobody's playing it anymore. So, anyway,
There's
so...
only so many times I can play a looty shooty game.
It's looter shooter action game.
Yeah.
And the story...
'Cause I'm just like, I want to collect all this stuff, but I can't really, or it costs way too much in-game money or whatever.
You can't just
right?
live in the world. You have to kind of
No.
follow the storyline, otherwise you're
Right.
getting those static headaches all the time, and Johnny Silverhand's
Right.
popping up everywhere.
Everywhere.
And it's not even like
So much to say, guys.
it's not even like you can get them out of your head and then continue living in the world. Like
Right.
that was a huge mistake.
I don't know, like, we were through this with Fallout 3, and I thought everybody learned their lesson. You don't kill off your main character and be like, all right, now this gigantic world that's open for you to explore, you can't explore that anymore. Like, unless you're going to nuke the city, don't lock it off. Like,
Yeah.
it really is that simple. Don't lock off an open world.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's like, oh, you can keep playing. Oh, but you have to rewind to before that point of no return. And like to have a point of no return where it's like, okay, you have to finish the main quest now before you can go back into the world. That's fine with me, but for you to be then done at the end of that and no opportunity to go back into the world, it's a mess. Anyway, 2 new jackets for V, an alternate appearance for Johnny Silverhand, and a new vehicle, the Archer Quartz Bandit. That's what they added. I mean, why even bother?
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's a fair question. It's not a lot. And there's a lot of problems that need to be sorted at that studio.
Mm-hmm. Ye Old Grognard says, I don't agree completely, Ash. The hype was going to be massive just by setting it in Cyberpunk. The change to looter shooter was a huge mistake. Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think...
Oh, yeah, no, that was the most dumbest thing. And again, I'm reeling because it's like they had so many things. They had this AI, they had all this other stuff that they were going to do, and they were like, hey, you know, all that cool stuff, let's not do any of that. Let's just take a giant dump on your expectations.
Yes, exactly. But I think that was the problem, the expectations. And yes, like if they suddenly came out and were like, hey, we made a Cyberpunk game, you know, and it is, you know, it's a legit you know, canon Cyberpunk, you know, connected to Cyberpunk 2020, you know, Mike Pondsmith's universe. Yeah, there would have been a lot of hype. I agree there would have been a lot of hype. But I think the expectations about what the game actually had to offer would have been lower. I don't think it would have been a disappointment. It might have been there might be people saying, hey, this was a missed opportunity to do more. But the more was promised, and then it was brought down to this level. And that just let a whole lot of people down. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot that went wrong, but especially the change to looter shooter. I mean, again, it'd be like, yeah, it's like if you made a first-person shooter, say, in the Star Trek universe, it doesn't exactly fit, right? I mean, Star Trek is kind of about, you know, it's this huge rich, full world where you try to avoid violence unless it's absolutely necessary, right? Like that's kind of the ethos of Star Trek for if you're playing as the Federation anyway. So it'd be kind of so yeah. For Cyberpunk game to not be an RPG is kind of a mismatch in and of itself. But I think it just would have worked a lot better if it hadn't been overhyped, right? Not that it would have been perfect, not that everyone would have been happy with it, but it would have worked a lot better. Plus, then all the launch problems, right? That was just. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we don't need to rehash all that. Let's move on to. Let's talk about something that can't possibly go wrong. New Netflix video game series adaptation. Now, there's been a lot of these lately. Some have been really, really good. Witcher, in my opinion, has been really, really good. Castlevania was not my jam, but a lot of people really, really enjoy it.
I like the anime.
I did not know Splinter Cell had an adaptation. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. Mortal Kombat.
Oh my god.
Ghosts of Tsushima and The Last of Us, which those ones are not. They can't possibly be out already, can they? No.
I don't think so.
Anyway, there's a rumor that that there's going to be a Dishonored series. Now, if that is done well, that could be really good.
The rumors of a Dishonored series and a Fallout series has been going on for a while now.
Have they?
And it is a good idea. A Fallout universe television show that's done right, that's not full of BS, that's just dark and gritty, and you've got ghouls and mutants and an ability to really like flesh out the lore of what's happening inside a vault that's one of the like screw over people vaults, but they manage to like come together and make a society, and then just when they're like, you know, about to prosper, then they meet raiders, then they meet this, and if it tracked in generational jumps from like you know, seasons 1 through 3 first generation, seasons 4 through 6 is like second or third generation. It's like, that would be cool. I would legitimately be really interested in seeing that. But if they do it badly, then it's just a train wreck.
I mean, so, I don't know if I would be...
Same thing with Dishonored, really, I think.
Well, of course, if they do it badly, it'll be a train wreck. And I'd be very pissed if they butcher the Dishonored lore, or the Dishonored IP. It's one of my favorite games series. And, I mean, I'd love to see it really done well. And I'd like to see it live action. Not animated. Not animated. I think some shows work animated. I mean, it might work animated. I just have I don't know. Like, I have a much easier time getting into The Mandalorian than I do into The Bad Batch. I'm watching The Bad Batch very slowly. Even though it's really good. The story is really good. But I've got this mental disconnect because it's animated. It feels less like Star Wars to me, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think that's a you problem because there's a lot of people who grew up on Clone Wars.
Well, yeah, okay.
But the other animated series.
Sure. I mean, I'm a little more old school than some Star Wars fans, but I got them right here. See this? This is Star Wars on VHS. No, this is the original Star Wars. No added CGI. No 1990s. George Lucas revamping things. There's no Jabba the Hutt scene in this at all. Like the scene where, where they added Jabba the Hutt in episode 4 later on, and then they made it better because the original CG for Jabba looked horrible. It's not in this version. It's just not there. And Han shoots first, too. So, I'm old school. My dad bought, I don't even know if he knows I have these. I don't know if he cares. But, my dad bought these to watch with us when we were kids. Yeah, no Greedo shooting first, exactly. So that later Jabba the Hutt scene that they added in to the special editions, that was filmed for the movie. So that's authentic. They didn't retro CGI Han Solo into some new scene. But what they did was they painted the CG Jabba the Hutt over top of the actor who played Jabba the Hutt, who was just like a normal human when they originally shot it. But then they cut that scene out, and then they made Jabba an alien guy later on. Yeah. How do we get on that? Oh, yeah. Adaptation. So, I mean, a Dishonored, I don't know. I guess I'd have to see how it's done. But yeah, like I said, I'd prefer live action to animated, but I'd check it out if it was animated as well. For sure. Are there any opinions on that? Like if you're used to a more realistic looking thing, like Dishonored, obviously the games are CG, but so they don't look entirely realistic, but it's supposed to be that gritty, realistic feel. Does some of that evaporate away for you if it goes into an animated version? I'm curious to know people's opinions on that.
Agus in the Twitch chat says, I saw Street Fighter the movie.
The anime adaptations are far better. Yeah, fair enough.
I do enjoy anime adaptations, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So. All right. Was there anything? Oh, yeah. You wanted to talk briefly, but we got 2 minutes left. So, Sive, you wanted to talk about this article, how video games are emerging as essential platforms for music marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the growth of games as an industry and as a generalized concept are getting more and more robust and more involved with the communities that they're founding themselves inside of. And it's been exciting to watch, and it'll be even more exciting to continue to watch as these as more and more of like traditional industries, air quotes, traditional industries, are bridging gaps with games and creating more culture around that kind of content, and it's been one thing. It's like, if you can gamify a lot of work that people do, they won't mind working nearly as much. When you have to struggle with your laptop, your work laptop, your work desktop, your work whatever, and it's like, who designed this system? Who designed this in such a way that I not only hate working, but it's like I'm literally losing hours of my life due to stress and frustration, versus like, hey, that job that I just did, that task that I just did, that was really fun. I'm going to do another one. In fact, you know what? I think I could do it faster and better. Those two approaches to work, for like even just like basic jobs, like what most people call drone jobs, that is night and day difference. That is night and day difference for you, for your company, for your growth, for your everything. It changes the game entirely.
Right.
And you need like people need to start doing this. If you don't, you're I hate to say the word idiot, but like, you just
no, you don't lie.
You do not know how to run a company, let alone anything. If you're like, oh gee guys, we could make this game really, really difficult. This job really, really difficult, or we make people enjoy their job. It's like, I wonder what you should do. I wonder what will lead to higher productivity. Gee, I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even when I first entered the workforce, there was a game that I really got into on like those flash games. It was called Taco Joe. It was very simple, but like very like straightforward with like, you got your requests and then you fill the requests and you get bonus if you like have like full stars or something for like filling the order, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just like, since I played that, like I basically kind of translated that to like every job I've done ever since then.
If they
And like
had a
most of the
way,
hiccups come from whoever's facilitating jobs.
yeah, if there was a way to do that, like, have you ever played or seen someone play Papers, Please? That's a very interesting game. You're literally working as a border security agent, and people give you their passport and their papers and their excuse for, or their reason for wanting to enter the country, and it's like this fake country that's like really poor and whatnot. But and so people will try to some people try to bribe you, some people try to threaten you. One guy, like,
Some people are just trying to bring over cheese.
yeah, there's this one guy that shows up every other day not knowing he's got to have papers, like.
Oh.
He shows up with nothing. He's like, "Can I come in, please?" And you're like, "No, you need a passport first of all." He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll go get a passport." He comes back with a passport. Well, you also need like all these other documents. Oh, okay, I'll be back. He comes back like 7 times and finally has all the stuff in order. So it's an interesting game. Yeah, it's really great. But it's literally a work day. Like, you're playing a work day, and then but every day, the rules change because there's all this geopolitical stuff going on. Which is the reason that this game is so cool, is that they have this stuff. You have all this geopolitical stuff going on. It's like, oh, we heard there are spies coming from this country. So you've got to, someone from this country requires extra documentation. And you've got to try to earn enough money by the end of the day to pay for your rent and all of these, and food and maybe some clothes for your, a blanket for your mother-in-law because you don't have any heat in your house and all this stuff. Yeah, but what's interesting is, like, if you make a mistake, you instantly, this write-up comes on your printer. It's like, yeah, you let this dude in without the right document. I'm wondering how they know that. Like, how do they recognize so quickly?
State-of-the-art computers,
like,
clearly.
Yeah. But I wonder if you could bring that kind of a system into, like, say, Subway or something. Where someone's making your sandwich, and they get it right within the time limit, and it could be like this points-based competition. I don't know, maybe that would be a disaster. But yeah, like Saib said, if they could gamify, I'm talking about your real job. If they can gamify your real job, would that increase
I think it
morale?
kind of comes down to the approach, right?
Yeah,
because like a lot of places you go to, like, the boss just acts like the boss rather than like a facilitator of a good time, because it's like, some people are there to basically just tell you to shut your mouth and do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually want to build a team, and some people want to build like their own little oasis of gossip. I don't know, it's just some people get in there for like all kinds of motivations, right? But like a good manager, a good like leader will facilitate things in a way where you feel like a team and you can have some kind of fun, or at least like motivation to progress.
Yeah.
Like in a good way, right?
They had I've had good, yeah. I mean, I've had good bosses and I've had bad ones, and yeah, I remember I worked at this one store where I had a sales quota. And it's like, well, okay, what happens if I meet my sales quota? Oh, nothing. You're just expected to meet the sales quota. It's like, wait, so no bonus from this, and I didn't get There were no commissions for sales. There's literally no incentive to try to sell things. But they're like, you've got to sell. There's a sales quota. I'm like,
Just do your job.
I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about this. It was a sport. It was a sporting goods store, and I did not give a crap about sports. The only reason I started working for this company is because a really good friend of mine was the manager at one of the locations, and when he left the country, he hired me to work there, or he hired me on, and then never mind. You don't need the whole story, but anyway, yeah, that's the only reason I started working for the store, is because I had a friend, and I needed a job, and he needed someone to work. So yeah, so yeah, they got me in there, and I worked hard. I did my best. I worked hard, but I had so much shit to do anyway. I had no incentive to go out on the floor and try to sell stuff. And, and then the one day where I outsold everybody because somebody came in while I happened to be on shift and bought like 12 jerseys for $100 a pop. So I made my sales quota for like 2 weeks in a single day. And there was nothing. There was no... The manager was like, wow, what happened? I was like, oh, I sold 12 jerseys. Oh,
I did my job. So, are you surprised?
Like, and I'm not saying like you should need extra rewards to work hard, but I mean,
a little recognition goes a long ways.
Some incentive definitely helped. It bugged me that it was like, okay, we're not paid on, I'm paid hourly. You know what? I won't get into that. We have to. Mm-hmm. There were other problems with that job. Let's put it that way. So, it's not just because like I get, if you're a manager, you want people to be productive and work hard, but going in with a attitude of the beatings will continue until morale improves. Well, yeah, no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. You make it as easy and as comfortable and as good as possible, as pleasant as possible for people to do their jobs. You're going to have happier, more productive workers. It doesn't have to be miserable all the time.
Exactly. Right.
Problem with commissions, says Terror, is that it creates a toxic workplace where everybody becomes sharks trying to get the sales. I agree. And it's not that I wanted to be up. I'm not cut out for sales. That was part of it too. I was like, dude, not only do I not care about sports, I hate selling things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
craft that kind of incentive to do the best you can at the job.
It was a mismatch. It was definitely a mismatched job. Then I moved on from there to working in a warehouse at a computer store. That was one of the best jobs I've ever had. Like I thrived there because they were like, "Here's the warehouse. It's a disaster. It's completely disorganized. We don't know where anything is. Our last guy just walked off during his lunch break and didn't come back. Yeah, can you do something with this?"
Aww.
So I got that place immaculate. I knew where every iPod was. And so they gave me my annual raise at 6 months because of that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the company went out of business. But that was one of the best things that happened. I'm telling you my whole life story here now. And I'm sure not everybody is interested.
I remember my first sales job. I had to sell the idea. And, well, it was difficult. There were some words. There may have been some spears thrown back and forth. But, hey, we have the pyramids now. So,
Oh, my. Did you just make the joke I think you made? Okay. We better end the show before the algorithm figures that one out. So, yeah. Let's get the music playing here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for joining us for the Augmented Reality Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do slam that like button and subscribe and all that good stuff. We really appreciate that. It tells YouTube that you appreciate this content. Also, check out our main channel. Subscribe over there for lots of, for a wide variety of content, all gaming-related content, but we do a wide variety of stuff over there. The algorithm is an idiot. That's true, Tara. I don't think it'll figure that out. But anyway, it was a good reason to end the show before we go too long. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who helped to make this content possible. You've seen their names appear on the screen, at the top of the screen throughout the show today. We really appreciate all you folks. You really help us out a lot. We've got lots of exciting things going on. Working on a lot of stuff. So, yeah. And plus, we just really appreciate the community that's been cultivated around this content and around our Discord server. So check everything out. The links to everything are in the description below. And that's about it for that. So on behalf of Simon Moon, thank you so much for listening today. And we will talk to you again very soon. Ciao.